Hello everybody, welcome back for game 2. We are on the play. Let's see our opening hand. We have the Knight and a Command. Unfortunately not much else, but we do have some land to get us going, and if we find anything for 1 or 2 mana, I think we'll be covered. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this, especially if we can find a Silkwrap or something that will stick around for the Bloodcurse Knight. That would be ideal. Start things off with the Swamp and see what we draw next turn. Starfield, not that exciting in your opening hand, I am seeing, but so necessary later. Alright, so this Stasis Snare tells me that we're likely going to be playing both of the caves out. Unfortunately, rather painful to cast a Stasis Snare off them, but do what you have to do to survive. Could also play the Bloodcurse Knight, following turn, use the Stasis Snare and attack for potential 4 life swing, dealing 4 and gaining 4 rather, so an 8 life swing, but we don't really care about dealing damage just yet. We just want to keep our life total high. Alright, Forerunner, so target colorless gains haste on end of turn. We could always just trade with the creature as well. There's a Silkwrap, so we have a choice now. We could hold up the Stasis Snare, or play the Silkwrap, or the Bloodcurse Knight. Without knowing what our next card will be, we can't really plan too well. Having access to 4 mana, potentially, I think holding on to the Silkwrap just because it costs less. We can use it later. Also, the Stasis Snare is one of the few things we have to deal with all those hasty creatures. As their instant speed, we need an answer at instant speed rather, and Silkwrap will just not cut it when they cost 4. So, I think I'm going to play the caves here, and I'm going to lead with the Bloodcurse Knight, actually, for the cost of 1 life. And I don't really want to trade, depending on what he casts, of course, and hopefully I'm going to guess he cited out his removal, his shocks and whatnot. Otherwise, I'll really regret having played this now. But we didn't even show him Wasteland Stranglers, so unless he just simply has nothing else in his sideboard, I'm inclined to believe he took them out. In which case, next turn, we've got Silkwrap or Stasis Snare to cast, which will buff our Bloodcurse Knight up to a 4/3, which seems really hard for him to deal with. I don't really mind this duress, as anything he takes, I'll still have the other option, and once I get up to 5 mana with the Starfield, I can just bring it back anyway. My guess is he'll maybe take the Silkwrap or something, since it's a less painful, lower mana answer to any of his creatures currently that he's likely to play. Stasis Snare costs us about as much life as it saves from a single attack. Could also take the Starfield. I notice a lot of opponents, I guess, they tend to value a card like that maybe more highly than they should, especially in an aggressive deck. So he did take the Silkwrap, and unfortunately he kept in the Reality Hemorrhage, so that is regrettable. He's going to be hitting us for 5 now, and things aren't looking so good. And we draw another Stasis Snare, which is really unfortunate. So I think we're going to have to bite the bullet here and wait and see. Before I Stasis Snare, we'll see what he casts. If it's something that he plans to give haste with the Forerunner, then I can snare the Forerunner. If it's something scarier than the Forerunner, I'll snare that. And then next turn, if we draw a Starfield, it's going to be really close, especially with a Shockland on the field. Alright, so there is the Duskstalker. I think we have to go ahead and painfully exile that. Things are not looking so well for us. Going down to 5, he's got a Gorge out, presumably more hasty threats coming. Alright, that is also unfortunate, but I think our best chance of survival is to go ahead and cast the Silkwrap, take the Forerunner, and hope that he doesn't find another land or a hasty creature, which is very unlikely. That's the downside, I guess, with keeping caves, is that they do have a downside. Pain lands, they call them, for a reason. So this seems like an interesting deck. As far as I know, it's mostly commons and uncommons. A couple of rares that aren't particularly expensive, Dusk Stalkers and whatnot. I'm assuming there are Thought-Knot Seers, but we just didn't see them. So that is excellent for my opponent to have found a powerful deck for a low cost. And honestly, I thought that a aggro matchup would be really suited to our advantage, but here we are, having been destroyed. Alright, so things to learn, I suppose. Reality Hemorrhage and the fact that it can deal damage to a player as well. That'd be enough reason to suspect he would have kept the card in his deck, and had I accounted for that, rather than just running out the Blood-Cursed Knight, I should have used a Duress or a Silkwrap or Stasis Snare to remove a threat, and then the following turn played it relatively safely. So, lesson learned, stay tuned for match 3.